Non faccio pensare, to monitor mi pregalano, ok? Because tu mai każdy kazisz, to najlepiej, powinno mi założyć workshop, ok? Ok?
Okay.
Let's start with the first way that you get leads.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey man, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? Nice to meet you again, and glad to start to share your knowledge. I'm looking forward to see what's next. Always a great pleasure to see you in action.
Thank you. Thanks. I appreciate that. I haven't seen you in live.
Yeah, a lot of work to do, and yeah, also vacation. Also, yeah, some problems, but now it's fine.
Okay.
Finally,
At least it is bearable, I guess.
yeah, yeah. How's your family?
Good. Yeah, the kid, one of the kids is over here playing, and the other
Yeah.
one is still in the kindergarten till about 6. So yeah, I figured maybe we can do a workshop for 1 hour to see if I can. Yeah, I just want to understand what people want, what they need. I would like to make it on a regular basis so then I can provide some value for people. And yeah, if they find it valuable and useful, hopefully we are gonna proceed with this more. But I also want to
Yeah.
pull more people in the community. I think now there are like around 50 people. It's not bad, but there can be more.
Sure, sure. It's just the beginning, and yeah, I'm glad that your content is also shared by the Android Weekly, and this is great because they have a lot of exposure. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's correct. And I've tried to make. If you have seen, lastly, the videos, I invested a lot into editing. So I also paid somebody to help me, and also I learned myself. So the videos are sort of different now. Um, and maybe I'm just gonna edit those testing videos as well to make them better. But where I just record new ones. But the ones that are new, that are coming, like I was just editing now before we start this session, I was editing a video about working with prompts in Jetpack Compose. It's gonna be like 5 minutes video, but
Yeah,
yeah,
great.
I was editing, and hey, hello,
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
Ali. Haven't seen you, man. You are new in the community.
Yes, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, man. Yeah, there were about 10 people that said they're gonna attend, so maybe wait 2 more minutes. I was telling to Madeline that I was working on a video I was editing just before starting this session, and probably I'm gonna push it next week or something like that for YouTube.
Great. And also, I noticed that you put shorts video, and I think they also at least um, they are very easy to follow, and they send you the people to your big content, let's say, or the movies that are longer than 1 hour or something like this, or your content, your site, and so on. So they are great to just pop up and announce that something happened there.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
think
it's a great idea.
yeah, I think it is first of all it is a requirement from YouTube itself to add shorts, and then they are sort of using that as a funnel to your channel, and then they would use the shorts to understand what people want to see. And then when you upload a video saying like, I don't know, this is gonna be on Jetpack Compose about this and that, people that are seeing your shorts that are also on Jetpack Compose knows that they are interested in your videos, and that's how they're gonna give
Exactly.
you more
Yeah,
funnel.
yeah. I see. Yeah, good.
But I'm testing out what's gonna work better and what's not gonna work, um, based on, you know, if you've seen, I'm deploying different sort of shorts. I want to test out and understand what's gonna work better, what's not gonna work.
Yeah, yeah. Great,
Okay.
great.
Hello, Maria. Maria, correct? And Lubosh, was it? What's happening? Look, everybody's on mute. Everybody's hidden camera. I feel alone. um. So yeah, I think maybe we are not gonna wait any longer. Did anybody prepare any questions or something that would be nice to look into first? Because I do have some ideas, but my idea is to provide some value for you guys. So I would rather talk about things that you may find it valuable rather than the things that I think might be good. So let's go one by one. Let's see who is working on Jetpack Compose already. Who is applying Jetpack Compose?
Hi for all.
I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm working.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. I'm working with Jetpack Compose, I think I can say every day. And I think it's the best what to Android come. It's great.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And for how long are you working with Jetpack Compose?
Since start, since first beta, because my boss
years.
don't. Yeah, my boss don't block me to work on beta or alpha version Android studios and libraries and so that's cool for me, and I love it, and I'm using accompanied libraries and all of stuffs since alpha. I love it.
Awesome. Do you notice some like improvements in terms of how fast you are developing the things?
At first, it was very difficult to start with Jetpack Compose, not in uh, development like we know it, but in architecture, because I don't know how to build application with Jetpack Compose, how to navigate, how to use I don't know, or fragments on activities and etc. Because it was alpha and there was nothing to describe, and it was the difficult part, and it was very hard to make some bigger application than 2 or 3 screens. It, yeah.
So if I understood correctly, you were using still the I wouldn't say legacy, but the again from Jetpack, the standard navigation that comes, like single activity, multiple fragments. So you're using that navigation, and then inside the fragments you would plug Jetpack Compose components, correct?
Yeah, I rewrote I think the mainly application to Jetpack Compose now, but at the first 2 or 3 years, I think 2 years ago, when I started with Jetpack Compose in mine production application, it was very difficult because the application has I think 30 or 40 pages, and it was difficult to me navigate back and backstack and use navigation component like a up bar, and use fab button and etc. Yeah, mainly to for development in team.
I see. And what's your I understand you are very experienced now with Jetpack Compose because you are applying it for already 2 years. And lastly,
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm learning every day.
well, yeah, we all do, but you are having pretty much good grasp in terms of like how you can do something.
I don't know I have if it's true. I think I'm for yesterday or last week. I realized that I don't know if it's possible to make 2 or 3 fab buttons menu. If you know, in Material 2, it was if you press the fab button, you have a fab. If you press a fab button, then you have up fab button menu in 3 or 4 buttons smaller than fab button. But I don't know if it's correct to use it in Material 3. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I didn't find it if it's correct, because I don't like make how can I say it? I am I like to respect material free guides, and if it's not there, I'm not using it.
Yeah, that's I think that's pretty smart that you are doing it, because and we are doing the same, because if it's not here, if it's not ready, probably we'll have to struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like, of course, if it's some custom component that is not existent at all, probably we are gonna make it custom for our
I love it, custom components. I love custom buttons, like do it in Canvas, and like do it glossy designs and etc. But in mine banking production, I'm using only material-free guidelines components.
Yeah, as I can see here, if you see the screen, I think I'm sharing. Am I sharing the screen? No.
No.
Let me. Um. So share the screen. Yeah. If I see here in the components, I cannot see a button that is having those extended, like even this extended fob. It is not having. If I understood you correctly, you would like to like have a button, and then when you tap, it expands
Yes.
into 3 more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is no such
Yes.
standard component, indeed. So you'll have to create it your own manually.
But it is recommended in material free or not?
Not.
I don't know.
No. It's only up to you if you want to do it, but it is not something that's gonna be by them.
But in material true, it was recommended if you use it or if you need it, do it. On a material free, I don't know.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. Material 3 is different. I was actually, so this button, for example, it's something that I was working on recently, and I can show you actually here. I was working on an app, and we are having here this segmented button on the top, if you can see. And
yeah, it's cheap. It's cheap or not?
When we started this feature, it was not there. Here it is, the button itself. So if you go in the specs, you can see if it's ready or not. Also, like whether you can.
Yeah, I know it. I know it.
No. So for Jetpack Compose, as you can see, it is still planned. So we had to do this our own. And now we have to maintain it at least until they come up with a solution themselves, and then maybe we'll have to. Maybe we're gonna have a little bit of a struggle to migrate. We'll see. Yeah, now we don't have any animations or something. Like we can do those, but yeah, time constraints, you know. But yeah. So do you have any question, like more in terms of like if you are struggling with something? I think you mentioned something like animations. Here we are having some animations in this screen. So like if you scroll, so these animations are based on the scroll. As you can see, it animates the images, the scale, the background, and also notice these images are sort of, the shape is a little bit weird. It's not rounded circle, like perfect circle. They are like, you know, as drawn by hand. That's something interesting actually, that the solution that I came up with. So I can apply this circle to like as a shape to any custom composable that I want.
Can you swipe left or right?
Yeah, you can swipe, or you can click on those and then it swipes.
But it's not, the pictures are not animated. The circular images.
Yeah. So the images are not animated. So this is not a component.
It would be
that
good to animate.
Sorry?
Yeah, it would be good. It would be good to animate this picture. It would be nicer.
Yeah, definitely. But it is like this component that we've done. It's a little bit hacky. It is not.
It's a pager. It's a standard pager or not?
There are 2 pagers, one on top of another, because they are not supporting overdrawing on top of one another. When at least they were not, it was not there before when we started this feature. So they opened the pager, they made it part of the standard SDK only recently. It was in the accompanist, if you remember.
Yeah, I know.
And then back, it was not possible to do this, like, because this has to go into circle. You see this one, when you swipe, it goes to the first one, and then those are dynamic.
I see.
So we did struggle a little bit, but in terms of these animations, like when you scroll to make this like fade out, fade in, that was kind of super easy and fun to work on. You just take the screen state, like the lazy column is having a state, and it is providing you the offset from the top element, and then you can figure out how far you have scrolled by taking that value. And then you pass down through a lambda, so you are not recomposing the whole thing, but only changing the values. And then we use that value to actually animate everything. And when you open the app, the first thing, it animates down. Let me close it like this. it shows expanded mode, and then it animates, it collapses. So because on a smaller device, it's gonna pull up a little bit from the content, so the user will understand that this is something scrollable.
Yeah.
That was kind of nice, challenging thing that we were doing. And lastly, I was working on this other feature that we are having, Tinder-like feature. So here are baby cards, and then like in the Netherlands, it is popular, and in the area around Netherlands, that when a baby is about to be born, they are sending cards with like congratulations and stuff. And you can order and you can customize these cards. And because this application is about babies, they are having this feature. Now you can like or dislike a card, for example, and then you can find it here in the favorites. You can connect with a partner, and then depending on what you are liking or disliking, both of you, you can have matches. Now I don't have partner connected, so it doesn't show anything. But yeah. And it's interesting that half of the application is still not in Compose. Like this tab here, for example, is the typical other tabs, or this one here. So this is a fragment. This is a compose inside the fragment, and when you click on it, it navigates into something that is full compose now. And all the navigation and everything is done in Compose.
And why are you using fragment?
Because so this bottom navigation here, it was done before, and it was based on fragments. And we cannot, I mean, the idea is that we are migrating screen by screen rather than starting from the core and then moving towards full compose.
How huge is the application?
It's kind of big. So if you open here, yeah, it has quite some code here. I wouldn't say that it's like most of it very useful, but we are in this package UI view, we are reworking the things in Compose. So basically this composable here is the root of the navigation, this app. And then we are having sub navigation. So we have one nav code that has navigation inside as well. So like here we have the sign up. Then we have another one for these tools that I was showing to you. So these tools, like if I click here, it enters this navigation basically. So first
it's nested navigation or not?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And yes, so here I'm having onboarding, but the onboarding, if you have seen it, you are not gonna see it. So it's sort of conditional, and it goes to the second other screen, which is the main, and that's this view that we are seeing here.
And please, can you show the architecture structure of the application of the code?
The architecture is a mess. You don't want to see it. But yeah, our approach is that for this new, at least for the new parts, let's say these tools that I was showing to you.
Okay.
We are having bridging functions. So because we have a fragment or something that talks to our compose, we have a function that is binding together the view model and gets a state from the view model, and then it communicates down to the actual UI, and you can see it here.
It's very hard to working on an application like this.
I think once you get used to it, it's kind of easy.
No, I don't like it.
What you don't like about it?
Just rewrite a whole application. I'm working overtime, and usually because I don't want to working on application where is a mix of a lot of technologies. It's a pain for me.
Yeah, well, I understand.
I admire all developers who knows work on project like this, but it's not me.
Yeah, I understand your point, but you also have to take in consideration the point of our client, who is not.
I know. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, but I think we are moving pretty rapidly, and I mean soon we are gonna have this completely in compose. It's kind of okay. But one of the considerations that I wanted to show here was that, and we are applying this for other projects. I can show other projects too, but yeah, let's see, what would you like to see, basically. We have this other module where we host the composables that are sort of not working with anything on the Android side, like view model and beyond is not in this module. So in these modules, we only have the resources like strings, drawables, and the actual composables. And so, for example, if we consider this screen here, it would be in here. Now this screen, it doesn't talk to any view model or something. So like it's fully customizable when you call it. We can see the preview on the right. And essentially that's why we went with this. Like we had to move it in a module because we are using paparazzi tests, and the paparazzi framework is not working in the regular application module. It has to be separate module in order to run. And so in this module, we are having these composables without touching anything from Android, so then we can pull this in a preview, and then if I want, I can take this preview and wrap it in a test, and then make a screenshot test out.
Understand.
And we have those tests here, and they run very fast, actually. And simply by wrapping my preview that I'm already having into a test, I already have a screenshot test. And now here I don't have in the repository anything. Like you cannot see the screenshots because they are not generated here. They are on the repository side. But I can run a command here to see how that's gonna look like. Does anyone have any questions that or any ideas or any help with something? Because some of you joined afterwards. My idea with the workshop was to provide value to you guys, I'm not doing this for me. So I wanted to understand if you have any questions or something that you're struggling with in terms of Compose that we can maybe make a showcase or explain, then most or whoever from you is gonna be benefiting from that.
Okay, I have a question about fonts. How you deal with the fonts? Different font for a different font weights. Suppose there's an application who has one font. They has a 3 weights of medium, small, and large. 800 weight, 500 weight, and 200 weight.
I'm not sure I understood the question well. So
And-
you
okay.
have different fonts, right?
I have fonts. One font, suppose any font type,
Okay.
and then I would like to apply a different font sizes, style, a font weight.
So
Both.
you want to do it based on a setting, let's say in the application itself, right?
Not in let me give you an example from Figma and my project, maybe.
Okay. Meanwhile, here are the screenshots. So if you noticed, if I'm still sharing the screen, it created a folder with snapshot images, and then if I open them, I can see the screens that were generated from my tests. And basically, this is managed on the CI. So when they run, they compare whether the old screenshots are same with the new ones, or if there is difference, and it shows the difference. Actually, it's pretty awesome.
And are you working every day like in TDD?
Yes, pretty much. For the logic that I'm applying beyond the UI.
Okay, nice. And you are you starting with writing business logic tests, and after that you making UI, or starting with UI?
It depends. Sometimes I start from the UI side. Sometimes because sometimes I need to understand better what are gonna be the different things that I will need. Sometimes because we are using mostly GraphQL in this company that I'm working now. Have you seen how GraphQL looks like?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty common.
Yeah, maybe for some that haven't, there is usually a playground that comes with the API, so you can explore the API in a playground, and then I would go ahead and see the types and everything, like what are the queries that I'm gonna be making, different what are gonna be the different things that I will need. Let me just figure it out. So not here. Not here. Give me a second. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
I'm sharing a browser. So here is how a playground looks like. So I would just go ahead and see, for example, I don't know what's the need that I will have to do now, and I will explore these types and what is gonna be the request, what is gonna be the response, and then based on that, I would start from there basically and do the figure out what's the input, what's the output, and then I'll model the whole thing. And when I'll come to the contract that we are talking with the backend, I would like to understand, for example, what's my input, what's the input that they are expecting, and vice versa, what's the output they are giving me, and how am I gonna model that into my domain. And when it comes to the contract, I would actually have that as a last point of integration. So I'll have everything beyond that done when I work on the actual contract. But I'm test driving that as well. And maybe I can show how a contract looks like. So here I have a contract test. As you can imagine, as you can see actually, here I have it is an abstract class, the contract test. And it defines all the tests here. So like, what are the things that I will need for a new implementation to comply with? So if I write a new implementation of this repository, it is an interface. So just have one function, create an account, and that's it. So if I want new implementation from this repository, I have two. One is in memory, which I'm using for all the tests, for the UI test. If I want to have, for example, instead of talking to a real backend, I'm gonna have a fake that I'll be feeding depending on my tests. So for each test, I'll be able to say, okay, now return error, now return success, now return this kind of account. And then I wouldn't be waiting for the backend to talk to me or like supply data that will interfere with the following tests. And then the actual contract will make sure that the types are correct, that I can parse whatever response they are returning back to me. Although in GraphQL, everything is already having types, so you are pretty safe there. But yeah, since I have two implementations, they both pass the tests. So if I run here, if I click on this button, it's gonna ask which implementation do I want to run the tests for. So if I press all, it's gonna run the contract for all implementations. If I want to create new implementation, I would usually start from a test, extend this one, and then if I run, it's gonna tell me what's next that I have to implement. And when the tests are passing, I know that my new implementation is compliant and I can just plug and play. It's gonna work for sure. So if I, for example, in the future, we migrate from GraphQL to Retrofit, let's say, I can go ahead and pretty much create a let's say, retrofit sign up repository that's gonna extend from my sign up contract. And then I have to override these functions and provide an instance of the sign up repository that's gonna comply to the tests. So if I run now, nothing's gonna work because there is no implementation. So all the tests are failing. So I have
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. I would like to know it, write code like you.
Yeah. No, well, I've recorded the video. All the videos on YouTube are about this. So I mean, yeah, it's too much time consuming to watch those. I can understand. So I'm trying to minimize that, but also maybe we can also. My idea was, I mentioned before, I don't know if you heard, my idea is to make these workshops on a regular basis and then work on things that you want to understand and to, I mean, you, when I say you all, to understand and to get better with. So like moving on, if you give me a request, okay, let's next workshop work on tests, we are gonna work on tests.
Okay, it's yes for me.
Okay,
Yeah, I will drop a message in the school community and I can ask what's next that you want to work on. Because for this workshop, it was the first time, I haven't done before. I didn't know what to look into, so I said, okay, maybe I'm gonna ask you to ask questions. So that's how we.
So you created a repository, and can we create a data source for that? So repository can be would not change the repository if we want to switch from a retrofit to a graph SQL or a graph SQL to retrofit. So if we just switch the data source, like, and then we do not need to modify the repository, and no view model will be modified, and the test will be only written for also new data source.
Yeah, essentially what you're asking is what I'm having here. So I'm having view model repository and that's it. If you want to have as many, you can have as many layers in your architecture as you want. You can have view model, use case, repository, data source. The idea with the contract tests is that the contract is the actual binding with external system. That's why they are calling them integration tests. The tests that are testing everything in your architecture, like from the UI down to the actual boundary, they're called integrated tests. But many people are just using the term integration tests, but it's wrong term to be used. Those are called integrated tests if you join any of the software craftsmanship communities or extreme programming communities, they are using that terminology. So those are integrated tests that are checking whether your whole thing is working fine. And then you have integration tests that are checking whether your system is integrating well with external systems. However, we are talking about this boundary. That's how it is called. If you look into the zombies, the B stands also for the boundary. And that's where the point where your contract tests are coming in. And now, for example, here, my boundary, in this case, is the repository. So the repository implementation talks to the external system. So let me show you. Here I have, here I have an implementation of remote repository. So come on. And this one is talking to Apollo client. So this Apollo client is what you would usually have as interface in retrofit, the actual service where you are defining the get, post functions.
Yes.
That's what Apollo is. So now in our example back here, if I want to make retrofit sign up repository, what I will need to do is create a class. Let's say that will extend from my sign up repository. It should override this function. And then most of the time here I'll need an interface. And that's usually the retrofit interface.
Yes, exactly.
That's gonna have, let's say, I don't know if it's a post or get, let's say it is get. Right? Why it is not compiling?
Internal interface. You have internal.
Should be interface. Something like this, and then this function will be calling to my interface. Something. And now to comply, to make this test work, this interface, I don't want to talk to a real backend. What I can do, I can leverage the mock web server, I think it is called, from Retrofit. So by using mock web server, I can create an instance of this one, of sign up service. And for each and every test, I can teach it what I want it to return. So this time return 404, this time return 500, this time return 200 with this specific response. And then my test will make sure that when I get such and such response, I can parse it and I can return back a domain object that is sufficient, that I'm expecting. Does it make sense?
Yes, this is how I was doing it. So okay, let me share my screen. What I was asking about compose fonts.
Yes, sure.
Okay, this is one of my client apps. So I found it. Okay, this is a totally I built in the. Now this has a different font settings. Settings had a font A700. Now let's click on this one. It has a okay, let's this one 700. It's also 700. Font. Okay. This will work. It did not able to, sorry, he did not do it properly formatting, but I know it has a two weights. So this has a different weight, this has a different weight, and these versions have a different weight, but the fonts are same.
So yeah, so is this question specific about Jetpack Compose?
Yes, it's Jetpack Compose.
Yeah, so in Jetpack Compose, if you have one text, like if you scroll to the very left, or never mind. Okay. So if you have one text,
should I share it again?
No, it's okay. So if you have, let me see if I have an example here. I don't think I have an example, but if you have in the same text view, in the same text composable, if you want to apply half of the text to be bold and half to be, different weight, which is essentially the boldness, and half of the text to be like something else, you have to use Panel Builder, and that's also available in Jetpack Compose. Or otherwise, you can leverage the theme. So
I did it spannable using a spannable, but I was asking what is the best way to define a theme. I have used spannable also, string spannable builders, so you can apply as many as a style on a specific text.
Yeah, so you basically don't want to replicate yourself and like for each and every text apply different spannables or different, so you want to make one and then use the theme, correct?
I would like how you define in the theme, so I can easily say r dot font dot apply bold or dot font apply something like that.
Yeah. So usually Compose comes with material theme, and that's not sufficient for most of the projects. So you have to come up with a custom theme. And most of the time we are creating our custom themes, like for all the projects that we are having. This is the custom theme of the project that I was just showing, but we are having basically the same approach for every project that we are making. So so here it is. When you create new Compose project, it comes only with this class, and they are having their own values here. Like I don't remember from the top of my head what they were, but they are sort of having their own, like H1, H2, for in terms of typography. Here
it's type. It's you have to write the class type, and there is written some type spaces and typography, and you use text styles
yeah.
in text strings.
Yes, correct. So you can create your own data class basically where you're gonna define your typography values, and then you can pass that down the composition as a theme. Basically, that's what we are having here. As you can see here, this is just data class that has the color scheme. We have the same for typography. So our typography.
I think I have. Okay, I got your point. Okay, is this correct way to do it? This is how I did it.
Yeah, that's how you define the font. But well, I'm sorry, I was not sharing. Right after you stopped sharing, I was not sharing. Right.
Okay, so this is how I used in my text view style. I define a custom style, and then I set a font dot bold. So it will be automatically if I do it font dot
No, it's not.
normal.
It's not good way. It's not good way.
Oh
You
yeah,
will
yeah.
mess. You will mess your code. Use recommended way is use typography and text styles,
Yeah.
like label small or label large and etc.
Oh,
Because if you read a material free recommendation, there is written that UX designer have to use something like that's called token, and in token is written what colors is the text or a button or a component, and there is a written weight, size, font size, and letter spacing and etc.
Yeah, that's correct. And most of the time, the designer is not gonna do that because they think and use iOS, and but that's
this is
different
why.
discussion.
Yeah,
But
this is
he's
why
right.
I was. I think this is why I was asking. I am doing it wrong. I know I was doing wrong, but I was trying to find out the best way so I can change at one place and it automatically change everywhere.
Yeah, if you let me resume the presenting. I don't know. Is my screen now presenting or not? Yeah.
Yes.
So here we have, for example, the typography, and here is how we are passing it down the composition. And then in our composition, like I can open any screen. Let me open, for example, this one here. So for the text, you just say the style is gonna be my theme typography, and then this is coming as like one value in my typography. If you open this P1,
Got it. What I think doing I was creating a style for every text view. That's
yeah, that's not the way to go. So you define it once. So for example, here I define the fonts because we are also having different fonts, and then we pass the font that we have defined once. We pass for each and every sort of style or different different typography. And then we have also the implementation of these different typographies. Like H1 is having specific font size, specific line height, and specific font weight.
That's the right way.
And then if I open Figma on our site, let me show you that too. Just one moment, because I have like 7 windows opened here.
And the right way is to teach your UX designer use Figma right way.
Yeah, and we
And
also
use
created
a token.
Yeah, we also created some plugins actually for Figma where the designer can do it once and it's gonna be distributed to iOS or Android depending on the platform. They are not very, how to say, the best possible implementation or something, but yeah, somebody on the web team was working on that. However, what I wanted to show you is like if I select here, for example, any text that I'm gonna be implementing, on the right side I can see what's the font size, what's the font weight, and actually this is developer mode. But if I switch it not to developer mode, if I go here, it says H2 header H1. So on my side, I just know that I have to do typography H1. So just by matching the name.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yes. Yes. That's the right way. That's the right way.
Yeah. So maybe we can look into how we can create a custom theme per project in the next workshop if you want, guys. What do you think?
What about if the swipe, you say the heading is, it has the same font, but the style is different. It has italic style. So how you handle that?
So once
It-
again, if you don't mind.
So let me. So this text view has a specific style, right? It has a 400 weight, 26 pixels size, and it has a font weight. Font name is something I was starting with the M. But the only one attribute is changed in any other screen.
I see. So like that's not recommended because your design should be like applicable to all the screens. But if only one screen is having one of these properties different, then you may do something like I don't know, copy and then apply only that custom thing. So here, as an example, for example, you can do something like copy here, and you can say font weight is gonna be my different font weight. But that's not recommended. That's not the way to go.
Yeah,
Can
teach
we-
your
what
UX
about-
designer that is not correct way.
The
As
problem
you've
is
said.
UX designer. When you find a freelance project, you cannot really force them. That's the reason. You have to deal with it. Yes. Okay. My second question is: you said it. We can create a second one. Can we create a function and pass a default parameters if we like? Let me share what I did it, and I think it might be wrong. And what you did it, I just created a custom function and it's defined the style by default. By default, like this one. But if any one attribute is changed, suppose the text font size or text color is just changed, I just have to pass the text color here. Like I can remove this one and this one, and now the font's text style will be color different. That's only difference here. So is this you think is a good way, or I have to create like static values like r dot, just like you did it?
I think in this case it might be better if you at least create different text composables and then use those. Like if you let me resume the presentation, I can show you what I mean. So maybe you can create your own composables. At least that's gonna be least effort to maintain. So for example, here we have, let's see, buttons. Now we are extending the material button that is by default, but applying our custom theme. And then our theme is like we have primary and secondary buttons, and when they are like in dark and light mode, they are different. They are having also, let me make it green. And sometimes they're having drawable on the right, sometimes they are kind of smaller. And maybe it's gonna be an idea if you create these custom composables and then from your code, call those instead of in each and every place of your composition to change only one argument. That's gonna be much more effort to maintain as the time goes. And if you have one composable like this, if I need to change one button, it's gonna be changed everywhere. So I don't have to rethink whether I'm gonna apply it everywhere. And that's why it is not a good idea to change only one argument, as Lubos mentioned, to change only one argument in the middle of your composition, because if you happen to change the entire component, that one there is not gonna be updated.
Okay. So what about this is the primary button? It has a all the buttons has a blue background. Your designer decided he was so stupid. He decided only create a one button. Uh, every property is the same, but just the background is a different. So
see. Then
do you create two buttons for a compose, or what? How you will approach then?
At first, I'm sorry. At first, it's crazy. It's blown my mind because designers have to know that there is something like a material-free material U, and if you use a different color for one component, it doesn't make sense because and other user have orange tint and other user have pink tint, and it's not the good way. And as Yov say, use your own custom component like the secondary button, primary button, and use this if you want to change only one. Or
yeah, that's one way, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's ideal that the designer knows everything about material components and they are gonna give you a design that is like super easy to implement. But sometimes, or most of the time at least, it is not happening because, as you said, you are having freelance project, you are having iOS involved, and the people are just want to appear, like, I don't know how, in terms of like the eyes of some other like management, and they are making different things. Here is an example with this orange button. Like the primary and secondary, and now the secondary button has like at some places it is appearing with like as a more dangerous. So what we have for the secondary button an optional argument that is false by default, and only when we want to render it as being dangerous we are gonna pass there through. And then, I mean, that's how we solved it. It might not be the best or ideal solution. Another way would be to actually pass color here, but then passing color can let somebody pass like whatever color they want. So you're not solving a problem, because like if tomorrow I take over the project, I pass like black color and it's not in the designs, I can screw up the things. It's better to just use values that are sort of more like business oriented.
yes, the code has to be bulletproof.
Yeah. Yeah, by the way, we are having only 4 minutes left. I don't have how to say, I'm not paying Google to extend it more because I'm not making any income from this, and I think 1 hour would be enough. I think if in the future, if we see need for longer sessions, I'll try to figure out different way. But for now, it is limited to 1 hour and to 100 members. But the number of members is kind of good. I think it was an okay session. But for the next one, if you have a better request, like let's work on tests, particularly on this one or on this thing, or anything you would like, that my idea is what's gonna be valuable for you. That's gonna be best, so we can just focus on one single thing to work. And it would be nice if you can also give me some feedback, maybe better there in the school, in the post, if you found this valuable or not. And if you would like to proceed with this sort of sessions or not. Yeah.
We can do some voting.
Yeah. But I don't know how we can record those. Or maybe I can post whether
You
this
can
session was valuable and then add a poll. And then maybe you can also add comments. What would you change? If that makes sense.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, guys, for spending your time with me. Basically, I really appreciate that you appeared and then that you stayed. And yeah, I hope in the future it's gonna be much more valuable.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Yeah. Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye. Love you all.
Great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.